All right, what's going on, everybody? I am Jam Boom Boom, the world premiere, and I'm continuing the series of the Big Boom Theory. I am standing behind our theater space here, and it's a big old curtain. It's like, where's Jam at? But I like the curtain, the fold like that. Originally, I wanted to shoot this video in front of the whiteboard that we have here, but I spent too many minutes, seconds, and hours trying to clean that thing. It was just not getting up on me, so I decided to film it here. Don't mind me if I get distracted. The window, the phone here is perched up on the window, and all you can see is like traffic going by, huge view. So if you see me wandering, I'm like looking away, but I'm gonna try my best to stay here, to stay grounded, and discuss this next topic. When creating and devising, you have that spark of information, that spark of, well, yeah, it is information, that spark of creativity, and you want to put it on a schedule. You want to practicalize it. You want to bring it to life so that it becomes a work of art, so that it becomes a science, so that it becomes a new way of living. So the first method that we used was known, unknown, and to be known. Then we went into compiling research using Google Drive or whatever online drive storage space that you have, finding images, finding songs, music videos, lectures, movie clips, and compiling them all into one. So that's external things as far as getting up on the internet, utilizing the computer. This next method is called mythologizing. Now, I talk about mythologizing all the time. It's kind of my thing right now, but still developing it, as in mythologizing, into a concept that can be transferred into all sorts of art making. So what is mythologizing? Mythologizing is taking memory recollection, whether good or bad, and I'm gonna sway too, so it's a nice practice, ground myself, but I might be swaying too. I feel like sway. Sway had the answers. That's what Kanye said. So mythologizing is taking memory recollection, whether good or bad, happy or sad. Maybe it's something that your friends know about you, but your family doesn't know about you. Maybe it's a family story, but your friends, at least your associates, they don't know too much about that. They don't know that story. They don't know how you got that mark on your arm. They don't know about that birthmark on your thigh. They don't know certain things about you, but you know them. And it's about taking these memories, these stories, whether you're the center of that story, whether you're the hero, the villain, whether something happened because you were absent-minded or you saved the day. It's about taking that story, something that means something to you, something that you walk around with, something that has a huge impact on your identity, and creating a story from it. Now, I say mythologizing because myths of great cultures past utilize a lot of different literary elements in order to convey a deeper meaning or a bigger picture story. Even in indigenous cultures, having lessons as far as, and this is just, using this as an example, and this is silly, but, why the cow jumped over the moon, or why every third Wednesday we don't wear black. A mythology or a story that always leads to a lesson. This can also be known as a moral, like what is the moral to the story? But it's taking these personal memories that you have and then fleshing them out, utilizing literary elements in order to create a story. So you're mythologizing. Let me mythologize real quick. So if I had a whiteboard, I would be writing down some points right here, but let's just imagine this is like my whiteboard here. So literary elements to utilize when mythologizing, we don't have to start in any particular order, but you have allegory, the use of allegory, which is a work of art that conveys a deeper meaning. Symbology, symbolizing is what I wanted to say, but I guess I could say symbology or symbols. Having an object, but the object represents something else. So this can either be super apparent, as in this is a bottle and it holds liquid, or I can say this is a bottle and it represents a trophy. It represents the first time my grandfather created the universal bottle, and ever since then, we have been heirs to the universal bottle throne. It represents so much more. So it's an object that is giving, that has another representation that can be personal or collective. Statues, like the Statue of Liberty, is a symbol of America. So allegory, symbolizing, symbology, symbols, What else do we have? All right, we back. So we want to get into anthropomorphism and personification. And these are literary tools that we can utilize to strengthen our story. And it's something that's been utilized from the beginning of time, damn near. So what is anthropomorphism? Anthropomorphism is taking non-human things, the spirit, God, animals, objects, and giving them human characteristics, as in that rock speaks, as in this feather speaks, or this feather feels. And personification is utilizing literary elements such as metaphors and analogies to describe non-human things. So that, an example, that boulder sat with such grace as Emperor Charles sat when he reigned for 1,000,000 years. Things like that, you know. This napkin, the napkin was so torn and run down as if it fought in World War. It's something like that, you know. Just using a human experience to describe non-human things is personification, how we personify something that can't speak for itself. And anthropomorphism is giving those things that can't speak for himself a voice, or human qualities, which is commonly used in religious texts. You see examples in the Bible. The God of the Bible is angry, is jealous. And then this turns into theological debates saying, well, is God this external thing, this external electromagnetic ball floating in the sky? Does this have our qualities as in humans, or are we humans just giving this thing these qualities because we can't go any further as far as our psyche goes. We can't fathom what anything outside of us would be, so we are forced to. Now I feel like that's another video, because now getting into like philosophy and theology, like, are we forced, or is this just our limit to our cognitive thinking and what we're able to do in this form? That's a whole nother concept. You can find videos on that, right? So personification, anthropomorphism, we have myths, lore, we have symbolism, and allegory. So taking all of these elements, right, and we have our idea. So I'll use the Big House, for example. The Big House is a part of the Lost Dogs Chase Tales series, and what I'm looking to get out of the entire series is first utilizing myself as central character for the most part, for most of the series, using myself as a central character and wanting to trace, literally tracking my growth internally, and coming up with my own definition of what it means to get lost, what it means to find God, what it means to find myself. And so unraveling different episodes of my life, as in moments of my life or places that I've been, people that I've met, and creating stories out of them that have a sense of allegory, that have a sense of symbolism, deeper meaning. But on the surface, it's a play. On the surface, it's a movie. So it's like, on this end, and even this process, if people want to take something, as in take something away from the play or the movie, there's something there. But if people want to just enjoy it, and that's what I was getting to earlier, if people just want to enjoy it as a play or a movie, it's just a play or a movie, you know? But it's up to us as the creators or the writers or the producers, if you want to have a strong meaning, because damn near everything is allegory. If you want to have that deeper meaning, taking the time to understand, what did every little bit of that memory recollection, what did that mean to you? So what does the Big House mean to me? Now, the Big House represents a seafood restaurant on the surface, but the symbol represents jail, or a place that you get captured. The Big House, and how jail or prison's been referenced before, like, oh, go to the Big House, the slammer, the Big House. An allegory behind the Big House, or this place where you get captured or that you get taken, the allegory or the deeper meaning, this idea of crabs in a barrel. So it's a seafood restaurant, but then you think of the idea of crabs in a barrel, that idea that everyone's kind of, trying to get to the top. Everyone's a crab. Everyone's willing to do some snarky things just to get to the top. And you see a bunch of crabs in the barrel. They're all fighting each other. They don't know why they're there. You hear that often when it comes to urban areas in any given city, just a bunch of crabs in a barrel. I especially heard that a lot in Baltimore too, especially when you have everyone trying to be a rapper, everyone trying to be this, everyone trying to be the same thing. No one's trying to do anything different. Oh, it's just a bunch of crabs in a barrel. So the allegory behind the big house is understanding, where does that definition, or where did that saying come from? Just a bunch of crabs in a barrel. Now, it can literally just be crabs in a barrel, and that's the funny part about it, because I would love to aim to portray literally just crabs in a barrel, or when you go to Red Lobster or seafood place, seafood joint, you see lobsters with their bands on their claws, or you'll see like seafood in the tank right before they put them in the boil. Taking this idea and finding that allegory, that deeper meaning between that, people just like waiting to get devoured, whether that be literally, metaphorically. It's kind of getting a little sinister now that I'm thinking about it, but there's still something there, and this idea, this terminology, in a lot of ways, how I was looking at, this idea, if you want to see yourself as a statistic, how have I been viewed based on where I was born, or the geographical location I decide to reside? How am I viewed from the people who run that place? Get into that, and it's very deep and it's very heavy, but again, this is why we do that, to tackle those things and to create art from it, to create a meaning for us to get out of it or to separate from it. So that's the allegory, the symbolism, the myth. To be determined, because where I was going, I go to Greece first. When it comes to myth, I'm thinking of Poseidon. I'm thinking of the concept of sea creatures and life underwater. And I do want to do some more reference work as far as maybe looking at lectures, utilizing the oral tradition, or doing some more research if there is a myth that I want to fall back on. Because originally the idea for the big house, it wasn't going to be about me. It was going to be about another person and their experience with adoption. So the myth was about a lived experience that I had vicariously through another person. However, this new and updated version, I want to go in a different direction. However, I don't necessarily have a lived experience of going to a seafood restaurant. So this would not be mythologizing in itself. However, I still can take and draw inspiration from myths past. So any lore, honestly, the lore would just be my life, or, just creating a fictional, something that could quite literally happen in my life, and creating a fan fiction off of the thoughts and the feelings that I have. So personification and anthropomorphism, there is a segment that I've been thinking about as far as wanting to have this talk about spirituality, but through restaurant lingo, or through, that's it. This talk about spirituality, this talk about what are we waiting for, even literally the waiter representing someone who's waiting, the fisher person coming in at sea and describing what seems to be, from what comes out of their mouth, like a near-death experience out on the water. However, because everyone's not on the same playing field as far as their spirituality and how we look at life and how we look at death, how we look at what we're experiencing, the testimony that comes from the fisher person could kind of look like, you sure you saw? Like, I imagine the fisher person like, I saw God. And everyone's like, what's up with them? So that idea of like, I saw God and God showed me his hand. It's like, as soon as like that's being said, everyone's like, okay, maybe not everyone, but maybe some people are like, yeah. And then other people are like, they might have a different sense of their spirituality is a different sense. Their idea of God is different. So they're just like, I don't really know about all that. So in a comedic sense, but still also pointing to what damn near what happens in real life, how we are not on the same playing field when it comes to our spirituality. Yeah, that's another that's another video, but however, utilizing art to at least point to those questions and start to build those questions. So bringing it all together, mythologizing is the act of memory recollection, going within as a creative, as a creator, and utilizing those memories, good or bad, repressed, traumatic, happy. I usually start with traumatic because then through the process of creating the myth from yourself, creating or finding your way out of it, or separating yourself from that traumatic experience, whether it's never to go back there, whether it's F that person, place, or thing, or whether it's something, a badge, thinking of something external, I can't help it, a badge as part of your identity that you take with you to walk into the real world. And so how do we go about mythologizing is utilizing literary elements that already exist in that, in their elements and their techniques, such as symbolism, which is an object that you get, that you have that has a personal meaning or a collective meaning, such as the Statue of Liberty. Allegory, which is a piece of art that has a deeper meaning. Mythology and lore, hearkening to fan fiction, a world that already exists, whether fictional or non-fictional, and then different accounts of that world or that idea. Then you have tools such as personification and anthropomorphism. And this is the act, personification is the act of beautifully portraying a non-human object. The rain was as soft as the sheets of metaphor and analogy. And then I was getting into that. I was like, oh no, it feels soft. And then anthropomorphism is literally giving that non-human object or spirit or spirituality human qualities, such as it can speak, or it can feel, and it can think. And putting all of that together, not right now, but just having this on your mind, building blocks of how to build original narratives or stories that derive from you. There's nothing wrong with an adaptation of something that's already been created, but in this case, where we are right now, creating original stories, a new oral tradition or new folk tales, and especially reflecting the times that we're in. I am Jam Boom Boom. This is the Big Boom Theory. Y'all take good care.